Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we will cover some Angular questions that is usually asked in interviews. Okay, so let's start. So the first question is, what are the technical benefits of Angular? So by using Angular framework, we can build web apps faster and make them highly efficient. And Angular provides very rich documentation with great code examples for better understanding. And its command line interface provides a set of tools for coding that helps us in day-to-day programming. So here is some common command that usually we use. So the first command, ng new my first project. So this command is used to create new Angular application, and we normally use ng serve to run the application. And ng help, it is providing available commands to us. And Angular provides two-way data binding feature that is used to sharing data between component classes and its templates. And Google created this Angular, so it provides new updates in every 6 months with some changes. And Angular has some structural elements like modules, components, directives, pipes, and services. So the division of framework structure into modules and components makes application perfect for unit testing. And one more, lazy loading modules. So we can create multiple modules in large Angular application, and with lazy loading modules, performance will be improved for initial load of the application. Okay, so now moving to next question. What are the difference between AngularJS and Angular? So the first difference is architecture. AngularJS uses MVC architecture, whereas the model contains for business logic, and the controller processes the information, and the view shows the information present in the model. And in Angular replaces controllers with components, and components are directive with a predefined template. And next difference is language. So AngularJS uses JavaScript language, and Angular uses TypeScript language. And in Angular provides better performance while developing larger applications. And third difference is mobile support. AngularJS does not provide mobile support, but Angular is supported by all the popular mobile browsers. And next difference is structure. So for the larger applications, AngularJS code maintenance is too tough. In case of Angular, it is easier to maintain code for larger applications as it provides a better structure. And the next difference is expression syntax. So in AngularJS application, a developer needs to remember the correct ng directory for binding an event or a property. Whereas in Angular, property binding is done using brackets attribute, and event binding is done using parentheses attribute. So these are the some examples of binding. In first example, we are binding image URL using property binding, and in second one, that is event binding, that is for an click event. Okay, so the next question is, what are the templates in Angular? So template is a kind of HTML content that tells Angular about how to display a component. A HTML template produces a view or user interface in browser with lot of capabilities. And there are two types of templates. So the first type is inline, and component decorator template input is used to specify inline HTML in quotes. So you can see in this image that This template parameter has an HTML string, HTML content that is used as a template for this component. And second type is linked type. So component decorators template URL input is used to specify template URL. So as you can see in this image, the template URL is used as a URL. So it will tag the URL of file of template. So the next question is, what are the directories in Angular? So directory is a class that is declared with directive decorator. So there are three types of directories. So the first one is component directive. So each component is a directive and we use it using component decorator. And second directive is structural directive. These directives are generally used to manipulate DOM elements. Every structural directory has an asterisk sign before them, and we can apply these directive to any DOM element, but only one directive to one element. For example, we generally use ngif and ngFor directives. So ngif is used to conditionally render the HTML elements, and ngFor is used to iterate over an array and display each item. So next directive is attribute directive. So these directives are used to change the look and behavior of the DOM element. And we can create custom directive using directive decorator. The next question is, what are the components, modules, and services in Angular? So first discuss about components. So components are the basic building blocks of an Angular application which control a part of the UI of any application. And a component is defined using component decorator. Every component consists of three parts. First one is template for defining HTML, and second styles for the look and feel, and third is a class for the logic. So a simple component look like this, and in this we can see there is one selector, one template URL, and style URLs. So selector is tag name for that component, and template URL is for providing the path of HTML template file, and style URLs is for providing CSS URLs. So let's see next modules. So module is a group of components, directives, pipes, and services. And a module is defined using ng module decorator. And module decides whether the components and directives can be used by other modules or not by exporting or hiding these elements. So there are two types of modules, root modules and feature modules. We can create only one root module in an application, and we can create multiple feature modules. So this is a simple module decorator that tags some input parameters like imports, providers, declarations, exports, and bootstrap. And what are these that I can cover in my upcoming videos? Otherwise this video will be longer. Okay, so moving to services. So services are the objects that have only one instance during the lifetime of the application. And a service is defined using injectable decorator. Its main task is to share data and functions between multiple components. And here is an example of injectable decorator that is taking only one input parameter provided in root. So the next question is, what are the types of data binding in Angular? So there are four types of data binding. So the first is property binding. So we can connect DOM property with the field of component using square brackets. This is an example of property binding. In that one, we are passing an component property to an HTML property. So next binding is event binding. Using event binding, we can respond to a DOM event like button click and mouse movements. And parenthesis is used to define it. So you can see in this example, we have a click event on button click. So we just need to wrap this click around parenthesis. And third one is string interpolation. So string interpolation is a one-way data binding approach. So the data from component is shown to the view using template expression enclosed in double curly braces. So you can see this example in SRC. We are passing that item image URL as string interpolation. So we are doing the same thing, means we are applying SRC for the image tag using property binding and interpolation. So both the examples, in property binding that is two-way binding, and in string interpolation that is only one way. And next one is two-way data binding. So two-way data binding is used to share data between component class and its template. So if we alter data in one area, it will immediately reflect at other end. This will happen instantly and automatically. And it ensures that the HTML template and TypeScript code are always up to date. So we can also use it to share data between multiple components. And square bracket and parenthesis are used to define it. So you can see in this example, we passed an font size px component property to a app sizer component. So this is two-way binding. So the next question is, what are the decorators and their types in Angular? So the decorators are a fundamental concept in TypeScript, and because Angular heavily relies on TypeScript, so the decorators have become an important element for Angular as well. And decorators are methods or design patterns that are labeled with a prefix @ symbol and preceded by a class, method, or property. So there are four types of decorator. So the first one is method decorator. So method decorator, as the name implies, are used to add functionality to the method defined within our class. So such as we have an example like host listener. It is a method decorator. And next one is class decorator. So the class decorators are the highest level decorators that determine the purpose of the classes. They indicate to the Angular that a specific class is a component or module or service or pipe. And the decorator enables us to declare this effect without having to write any code within the class. So there's an example of these kind of decorators. So component and ng module are such kind of decorators. Means these are class decorators. The next one is parameter decorator. So the argument of the class constructors are decorated using parameter decorators. So one example is inject. So we use this inject for injecting our services. So the next one is property decorator. These property decorators enables us to enhance some of the properties in our classes. So the example here is input and output. So input defines that it is an input for that component, and output defines means it is an output for that component, and it will emit an event. So the next question is, what are the pipes in Angular? So pipes are such functions that take some input and transform it into desired output. So for example, you can see in this image, we are transforming today using date pipe to a specific format. And we can create custom pipes using pipe decorator and pipe transform interface. So just like this, we can create our custom pipes as well using pipe decorator and pipe transform interface. So this pipe transform interface has a method transform that we need to declare here. Okay, so the next question is how we can say data from parent component to child component. So using property binding and input decorator, we can share data from parent to child component. So for example, we have this parent component and this child component. And in parent component, we need to pass a field to child component using property binding, and in child component we need to declare a field using input decorator. So using this concept we can pass value from child to parent components. So the next question is how to set data from child to parent component. So using event binding and output decorator, we can share data from child to parent component. So for example, we have this child component and parent component, and we need to pass some data from child to parent component. So we can add one output property with type of event emitter in child component, and whenever we need to send the data, then we can emit this property. And in parent component, we need to create a listener method, and in parent components HTML with child components tag we need to register output event like this that we have done here. Okay, I will cover some more Angular interview questions in my next video, so please subscribe to my channel.